Have you ever heard a baby cry in the dead of night, but no baby was around? Have you ever felt something watching you from the corner of the room, yet found nothing there when you looked? In the village of Umuachala, deep in the forested heart of Nigeria, no one speaks loudly after dark. They whisper, they pray, they listen. Because in Umuachala, the night does not belong to the living. This is the story of Nkem, a girl betrayed, slaughtered, and buried in silence, only to rise again with a voice that chews blood and breaks minds. Before the screaming, before the blood, before the crying in the night, there was peace. Nkem lived on the edge of the village, in a mud house with her mother, Ngozi, a quiet widow who brewed herbs and spoke with animals like they were family. People feared her, though she had never harmed anyone. They feared her because she was different. And Nkem, she was her mother's mirror. Nkem walked barefoot on the red soil, with anklets that jingled like wind chimes. Her eyes were deep, too deep for someone so young. She would talk to trees, sing to the river, and when people laughed at her, she simply smiled. Children followed her like bees to honey. She had a way with them. She could calm a screaming child with just a word, or stop a fever with a cold touch. But to the elders, she was strange. Too strange. And strange, in a village like Umuachala, was dangerous. It began with a single scream. At midnight, Obina, the chief's grandson, shouted. With his hands on his head, he twisted on the ground, vomiting dark liquid. The chief thought it was some kind of sickness, but it wasn't. In confusion and distress, he gathered the elders that night. The village herbalist, Dibia Ogwok, also came that night. After 3 nights of failed trials. This is no sickness. It is spiritual witchcraft, Dibia Ogwok said. And like a match dropped in dry grass, fear spread. Who could do this? They asked. And then someone said it. Quietly, at first. Nkem. That girl. Her eyes see too much. Her mother talks to snakes. She walks alone in the bush. That was all it took. Fear does not need proof. Only direction. They came for her at dawn. 6 men with ropes and machetes. They kicked in the door and dragged her from her mat. Her mother tried to fight them off, but she couldn't. Please. She is innocent. Ngozi screamed, crawling to her daughter. But Nkem did not scream. She only stared at the men with quiet eyes, even as they tied her hands and tore her wrapper. In the village square, the people gathered like crows. Eyes wide, mouths filled with poison. She cursed the boy. She walks in the bush with no shadow. I saw her talking to herself at the shrine. Nkem looked at them. Faces she had helped. Children she had nursed. Elders she had fed. I have never hurt any of you, she said. You are choosing fear over truth. But no one heard her. They were too loud with their lies. They removed her anklets and put on her red beads on her hands and legs, indicating evil. The chief raised his staff. Take her to Ohofia. Let the forest decide if she is innocent. Ohofia. The forbidden part of the forest, where even spirits refuse to walk. They dragged her there, tied her to a tree. She screamed now, not for her life, but for understanding. Why? Why? They left her, and the forest swallowed her cry. The first night was quiet. The village slept with satisfied hearts. But the second night, it began. A sound. Soft. Hollow. Like a baby crying. At first, they thought it was a real child. They searched hot. Nothing. Then the crying turned to laughter. A baby's giggle, empty and wrong. Some covered their ears. Others prayed. Then, on the third night, Nwakigo, the loudest accuser, was found dead. Her neck twisted like a broken tree branch, her eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream. Her child swore he heard the baby's laughter just before she died. The next night, another villager, Onika, was found upside down, hanging from the tree in his compound. His mouth was filled with red soil, and scratched on the wall were the words, "You left me." Every night, the baby's voice came, crying, laughing, talking. "Why did you do it? I waited for help. Now I walk." Men began to lose their minds. One stripped himself naked and ran into the forest. The next day the chief's body was found dead. He heard the voice inside his car. "She is behind you." He screamed until his heart burst. The village fell into ruin. Farms withered. Goats birthed deformed young. The trees whispered Nkem's name. The people gathered again, this time not in judgment, but in fear. The new chief, a young man named Emeka, stood trembling. "We must make it right," he said. They returned to Ohofia. The forest was darker now, as if the trees themselves were mourning. They found the tree where Nkem had been tied. Beneath it was a wrapper, still soaked in dried blood. They dug the earth with their bare hands. Nobody. Only a small doll made from bones and red thread. Her voice echoed in the wind. "You cannot bury guilt with silence." They built a shrine from stone and white cloth. They placed her anklet on it. They sang her name. And they begged for peace. The crying stopped. The village slowly healed. But something changed in Umuachala. No one accused without proof. No one judged too fast. They told their children, kindness is not weakness. And silence is not innocence. But still, sometimes at night, when the moon hides behind the clouds, a soft cry can be heard from the forest. And if you're unlucky enough to hear it near your window, don't answer. Don't look out. Because some spirits never rest fully.